It's official. I am filming a comedy special in New York City on May 10th. That's the night before Mother's Day. I did that intentionally. You guys can have your mom's night out the night before Mother's Day. It is at a speakeasy style theater, really, really cool theater in a nice part of town on the Upper West Side in New York City. You should seriously fly out for that, or fly out for my Denver comedy special filming, which is 1 week from today. Yes, that is correct. I am filming 2 comedy specials in 1 tour season. So Denver 1 week from today, New York City on May 10th. Even if you do not live in these places, you should really come out because they will be a lot of fun. And then, of course, I am also going to be in tonight, Richmond. Me and my 2 fans will be in Virginia Beach the day after that. Denver, of course, that's when we're filming. And then Plano on April 22nd. And Tyler, Texas. I'm not even sure how that tour stop came up, but I'm actually really excited. I love Tyler, Texas. It's by a great camp that my kids go to. So, in Columbus. I can't forget Columbus, Ohio. So get your tickets at jfcomedytour.com. All of those tickets are available, jfcomedytour.com. And there's a little link there to get on my email list so that if you are not in those places, you can find out when I am coming to your city. Here's what we're talking about today. We talk about love languages a lot, in particular, love languages with your kids, the way you show love to your kids and support your family with, love and emotion and all that. What just occurred to me? This is something I used to do that I think a lot of you guys are doing. I think a lot of you guys confuse guilt and blame and beating yourself up with a love language. I think a lot of you think that if you were to actively try to develop more confidence as a parent, that I think it would almost feel to you like you're betraying your children. Like, am I really loving them if I don't lie awake at night at 2:00 in the morning regularly and think about all the ways I'm feeling them? Like, that's how I love them. Obviously I love my kids because I think about what a terrible excuse for a mother and therefore a human being I am all the time. And you're like, man, I must be a pretty amazing mom, actually, because I spend a lot of time doing that. I want to get you guys out of that. I think you will do your family a much bigger favor if you learn to be a little more confident in that. And this is actually what got me thinking about it. There's an influencer named Zachary Lade. He needs to listen to this podcast because I know this content was well-meaning. And, I'm not bitter at all that it got 100,000x the engagement of my typical post. It's fine. No, listen, God's plan for my life is that I've got my 2 YouTube viewers, my 4 fans in Virginia Beach, and I'm happy. I'm seeing the abundance that God has already given me. Some people have 0 YouTube viewers.
That's fair. I have 0.
See, there you go. And Caitlin is probably lying awake at night like, wow, Jen has, and it's not even double because 0, you can't double 0. So I actually have infinitely more YouTube engagement than you do, yeah. Caitlin. And so I try not to be jealous. I mean, it's hard, guys. Don't compare yourself to my success. So this guy, Zachary Lade, we are in setup right now. I am setting up the main topic, which we will really delve into. We'll get into the meat of it in the latter part of the show. So I'll play this whole thing later, but let's play the beginning of it. Zachary needs me to be his life coach. Let's listen to this.
The best way to start loving yourself is to keep your word. Whatever you tell yourself, and you and only you know this, whatever you promise yourself, you accomplish it. You stick to it. You tell yourself, I'm waking up early tomorrow, you wake up early. You tell yourself you're going to the gym.
It's so funny to me for some reason. Do you know how much I would hate myself if I follow? Gosh, I'm just trying to think. My rate of doing the things that I say I'm going to do, it's low, and it takes me a while. Like, for example, currently, as of this recording, the night is not over yet, but as of this recording, I'm actually in a pretty good place with alcohol, but you guys know that it's a little dance I do with that particular substance. I do intermittent sobriety, and I'm in the sober side of intermittent sobriety. But the times that I've been like, I'm not going to have that fourth Pims and lemonade. I'm not doing it, and before you know it, it's like I'm stumbling around like it's terrible. And again, you don't need to worry about me or my children. We are all fine, and I am currently not drinking. So I did get it under control, but it was after like quite a few times of being like, you know what? It's just so funny to even imagine this. I'm going to be on my grind this weekend. I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to bed early and I'm going to get up early, and I might even go to the gym. I don't even have a gym membership, but I might go, I might get one. And I might, maybe I'll take an ice bath. That's what I'll do. I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to take an ice bath. And then it's like I drink too many Pims and lemonade and I'm hungover. I mean, do you guys? I would have unalived myself if I took the advice of these people who are like, you know how you love yourself, you follow your commitments. It's anti-woman and it's anti-village. It's that felt good to say that. Yeah. It's anti-woman and it's anti-village. And here's how I'm going to stand by this statement. The salient thing about village life is that your life is inextricably connected with other people's. Inextricably, meaning like it's not like a lot of these influencers, they're like, you have to have a community. So from 3:00 p.m. to 3:15 p.m. every first Tuesday of the month, I meet with my hustle grind community. It's like, that is nice. That's a step in the right direction. That's not community. Community is when your grandma calls you at, 9:47 p.m. to come change her tire because she was headed back from the mall and she got a flat tire. And it's like, let's say if you're a young guy, like you were about to go out with your boys, but like, well, I mean, it's grandma, like you can't leave her on the side of the road. So now you're not going out with the boys. You're headed to help your grandma. That's what I mean by like inextricable. Like you can't and don't want to get out of it. Like when your kids are sick, and your kid is like, mommy, like I'm sick. Could we cuddle like at 2:00 in the morning? And you're like, you know nothing about the grind. Do you know anything about hustle? No, you go back to bed so that I can take my ice bath. Hey, listen, kid, I told myself I was going to go to the gym. There will be no 2 a.m. snuggles. Are you kidding me? I'm on my grind. Did you play it again? Play the beginning. Your kid's like, mommy, I'm sick. Can we snuggle? And you play this video. I'm learning to trust myself.
The best way to start loving yourself is to keep your word.
I gotta keep my word.
Whatever you tell yourself, and you and only you know this, whatever you promise yourself, you accomplish it. Yes. You stick to it. You tell yourself, I'm waking up early tomorrow. Yep. You wake up early.
Yeah.
You tell yourself you're going to the gym.
Okay, Kayla. Yeah, I'll probably play that like 7 more times. So yeah, that's the thing about village, and I would say even if you're a mom without a village, and this is why I say anti-village and anti-woman, I think it's actually even harder because, and by the way, I don't mean this to be a contra men statement. I am not, this isn't like an anti-man statement. I know that men have it really tough too. Men do a great job helping out with their kids and families. I'm sorry, the poltergeist door is acting up again. So anyway, men contribute a lot. So men have their own issues, but let's face it. I mean, this is just human nature. This is just biology. When it comes to, something is going wrong with the kids. They need some real emotional time. They need snuggles. They're sick, things like that. Let's face it, 9 times out of 10, it does fall to the woman, and that's okay. That's great. I think it's how it should be in many ways. But so when you have these young men who are making these general statements, it may work just fine for their fellow young single men, but for women with children, that it just... There's an entirely different paradigm that, frankly, I think would be healthier for everyone if they would follow. I think everyone would be, I don't think that anyone was meant to live this kind of robot life where you're like, I said I was getting up in the morning. I said I was going to the gym. That's being a robot. I mean, you know, they have AI robots now. Like, I'm sure Elon Musk has, you know, I'm sure he's going to release some new robots on the market. You guys are literally aspiring to be an Elon Musk robot. Because you know who always keeps their commitment to themselves? A robot. If you program your little robot to be like, you're going to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, well, the robot is going to do it. You know why? Because it's a robot. Because it doesn't have human connections with other people, and it doesn't factor in its emotions and how it's feeling and all of that. And so again, these guys, and this is why, like, you know, this guy, Zachary Lade, you can look him up on Instagram. I do mean to criticize what he's saying. Okay, I am critiquing what he's saying, but I don't dislike him. I'm not trying to be hateful to him or anything. I just think that he should hire me as his life coach. I think that I could really help this guy with some real wisdom, and open his eyes to the fact that the only way it works to keep your commitment to yourself 100% of the time, or even more than 50% of the time, frankly, is if you live a robot life. If you live, you just don't have those kind of inextricable connections. And again, this is true for men too, but it is even more true for women. I think just our maternal nature, people tend to turn to us more often for those, you know, like, hey, I need to talk for an hour, or I just really need your help with something. I think that women do get pulled into those circumstances a little more just because of our wiring. And so advice like that can be pretty hurtful. And you see it from many Christian influencers. They have the exact same message. I'm just picking on this Zachary guy because I've muted all the Christian influencers, so I don't see their content, because that kind of thing used to really drag me down and just make me feel bad about myself. And so now, like, I've got all the David Goggins, Joe Rogan, you know, the bro-y stuff, because at least it's not like they're not in my world. So that's why you see this a lot in the Christian world. Well, the other thing is, like, I probably know some of the people saying it, so, you know, I don't want to get a text message 15 minutes after this aired like, Jen, what the heck? Why are you talking about my Instagram video? So that's why I'm picking on this guy, Zachary. Now, that said, of course, with everything that gets 100,000x the engagement of all my content, there is a grain of truth to it, in the sense that you can't not do anything all the time. I mean, if I had continued on my Pims and Lemonade journey in the direction I was going, I would be in the custody of the authorities probably right now. I mean, it wasn't going a good, so at some point you do want to get it together. And let's say it's going to the gym or being active. If this continues to really bother you, I mean, at some point, if you got rejected from being on My 600-Pound Life because you were too fat, it's like, okay, I mean, maybe at some point you do want to do something about that. But I think this shaming yourself of like, man, I'd better feel extra terrible about myself if I said I would go to the gym and I didn't, that's not the strategy. So in another journey of discovery in which we can all contemplate how this podcast is free and how it has a tiny fraction of the views of like any other podcast on YouTube, we will go into that subject and I will help you strike that balance. Again, 1 week from today, filming my comedy special in Denver. On May 10th, I am filming my next comedy special. Yes, I'm doing 2 in New York City, and you can get your tickets to those 2 shows as well as the other cities I am going to, some of them tonight and tomorrow, at jfcomedytour.com. Play the jingle, Caitlin. We haven't played that in a while.
She was dropped by her agent and manager on the same day. Iconic. Now she's entered her villain era and she's back on tour anyway. Jen Fulwiler. News gonna drop. Jen Fulwiler. But she just can't be stopped. Jen Fulwiler. The show is gonna pop. Takes that JF comedy
So as usual, we will get to that main topic of how to get things done without beating yourself up if you don't perfectly keep to your commitments. We will get to that in the second half of the show. In the first half, we have some intro topics as usual. One of them... You guys are so lucky to know someone with a brain like mine. Do you know what I'm really concerned about right now? I mean, Caitlin, you should see the look that Caitlin gave me. She's like, if I had 1,000 years to guess, I know I would not come up with it. You guys, in 1960, two guys went to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest, like it is like as high as you've ever flown on a jet. It's like deeper than that. In the ocean with 1960s technology. Do you know how much I have been hyperfixating on that experience? And like, why did they do that? Like, so that honestly, it's apropos of nothing, but we just have to talk about it because it's a serious concern in my life. Very nervous about my comedy special. We'll get into all of that. As usual, this is the Jen Fulwiler Show. We publish brand new episodes every single Wednesday morning. This podcast is available on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If there is a place where you prefer to listen to your podcast, it is out there. We are coming to you from Austin, Texas, and this is the podcast where you learn the art of the village hustle. That is being a hot girl boss or hot boy boss who knows that love and family and community and village are the foundations for all true success. Caitlin White is our lovely producer, and we publish even more hot fire bonus content on the Patreon, patreon.com/thisisjen. If you pull that up, did I say patreon.com? Sometimes I forget.
Yes.
Okay. If you pull that up, it shows you a preview of the content. So you can be like, how is this? It's not free, but it's like almost free. I should pay so much more money for this. So you can go pull it up. The link is also in the show notes. And I am particularly excited about the Village Hustle Patreon episode from this week. It is episode 84. I'll plug that a little more later. But honestly, I was so excited to share that with you guys. Patreon.com/thisisjen. I can no longer make the ISIS Jen joke now that my face is better. As you see on YouTube, it's mostly better. I have a little ways to go, but it's mostly better. By the way, let me just start with this. Was somebody going to tell me that JF on YouTube doesn't work? Was anyone going to tell me that? And I mean, I know that actually this explains everything because I plug jfonyoutube.com all the time. And I think that millions of people have been trying to like and subscribe and leave comments and go there and like follow my channel and all that so that they can see all the new podcast episode and my stand-up clips and all that. I think that millions of people have been trying to go there, but because jfonyoutube.com does not work, that explains it. That explains why I only have my 2 YouTube people. So now that you could just search for my name, Jen Fulwiler on YouTube, and I'm sure my channel will come up. And now, see, it's my success is about to skyrocket. I mean, it's going to be through the roof now that I'm just sending you guys directly to the YouTube page, and that is also linked in the show notes. Okay. I've talked to you guys before about the concept of massive action. This is a term coined by Grant Cardone. I told you, I follow all of the hustle life people. He's the most manic human being in the world. I mean, on his audiobooks, he'll just yell at you like, you should not have any space on your calendar ever. Just back-to-back meetings. And I love it. It's great. And I got the term massive action from, I think it was from him. Oh, he talks about 10x. Like you need to take 10x the action that you think you're going to take, that you think you're going to need to take. So I like all of that. I've been applying that to my life for quite some time. And here's the thing that I always forget about it. It's fun when you first take massive action. But Grant Cardone says this. He says 10x action means 10x problems. Like you are going to muddy the waters. It's like when you're running through a pond or a puddle. It's like it kicks up the mud. I mean, it gets it gets convoluted very quickly. And this is probably a mistake. I think my husband probably should take away all of my Hustle Life audiobooks that I read, because I will be doing makeup or something. I love makeup. And if I need a mood boost, a lot of times I will do a really elaborate makeup look just for fun. And it takes about 30, 40 minutes. And so I'll pull up, Tim Grover, David Goggins, Grant Cardone, one of these kind of, really hustle, be on your grind kind of books. And I'm too influenced by them. And then the other thing you need to know is my husband is also, he doesn't listen to those kind of books or anything, but he's kind of a yes and kind of person. This is a little bit of a dangerous combination, that if one of us has an insane idea, the other tends to be like, I'm all in. I don't need to hear anymore. Like, let's just do it. When I was like, should I quit my full-time daily national radio show at SiriusXM to pursue stand-up comedy full-time? My husband almost instantly was like, I like the idea. I think it's going to work. And I was like, remember, it does provide benefits for our whole family, and independent health insurance is expensive, and we do have 6 kids. And he's like, I think it's going to work out. And I was like, yeah, and we're also not independently wealthy. So there's, there are bills to be paid. He's like, I think it's going to work. And then I said, the current date is April of 2020. And there is this pandemic that seems to be starting that has entirely shut down stand-up comedy. So do you still think it's a good idea? He's like, I do. I think it's going to work. So that's my husband. So the two of us, it can be a little bit like there's no one putting on the brakes in this relationship. So like a couple years ago, he was learning to sail, and he was like, should I do this trip during the summer in which we sail around Cuba? And my son went with him, and he's like, and you won't be able to contact me for 14 days or something. And I was like, do it. What could go wrong? An American sailing around Cuba with our son out there? Like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. So that there's no one being the voice of reason in this house. So when I was like, you know what? I was dropped by my agent and my manager. I had some business deals last year that just about turned me into an actual Gotham villain with I can't even get close to that subject, because I will stop this podcast right now and start like angry texting people. I'll go back to the Pims and Lemonade. I'll start drunk texting people. Okay. So I had some very bad business deals. And so I decided that's it. I'm doing everything completely independent. Nobody in this industry can say anything to me ever again. I'm done. I'm taking full control of my career. And so based on that, I was like, I should film 2 comedy specials. Here's the idea behind it, is that obviously comedy specials are very good for your career in my line of work. And I thought, rather than releasing an hour, because everyone's busy these days, it's hard to sit down and watch an hour of anything. I should do 2 shorter specials. So maybe in between 30, 40 minutes, I should release 2. So that's the vision behind why I'm filming in Denver on April 9th. And New York City on May 10th. jfcomedytour.com is where you get your tickets. That's why I'm doing it. And so that was my massive action. And I was like, I'll self-fund it because I can monetize on YouTube. Actually, my YouTube monetization rate is very high. Advertisers love you guys. Like my 2 YouTube viewers, because they tend to be moms in their like 30s or 40s or that kind of age range, my YouTube monetization rate is crazy. So I was like, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. I will, I'll just self-fund it. I think I'll get the money back, release it on my own YouTube. And yeah, and it just sounded simple. It sounded very simple. Okay, Caitlin will be crawling under the camera here because the poltergeist door is actually, you can just walk in front. What do we like? Caitlin literally just crawled under the camera. I mean, it's Yeah, this podcast is so professional. My millions of viewers might really be bothered if she walked in front of that camera. Okay. That was one of my kids screaming, by the way. So I just committed myself to this. And now that we are actually in it, now that I am actually writing those checks for thousands of dollars and really sitting and thinking, but will I make this back? And like what it is. And then there are just all sorts of things that I didn't think about. Like just, you need a certain background. You want a certain professionalism for the background. You do not need to crawl, Caitlin. Just, there's just a lot of details. Like one of the groups was like, we should really think about who we sit in the front row so that just to make sure they're really engaged and, not going to be just glaring at you in anger, which some people tend to do, like if they're right in the front row, that sort of thing. It is a lot, and I am very overwhelmed by it. And so I just wanted to encourage you, if any of you have ever listened to me talk to you about my massive action, like, it solves so many things to take massive action. It is, I do need to remind you that massive action causes massive messes. And that here's the salient point here that I want to drive home that you need to never forget. Massive action has to be a lifestyle. It has to be an all-in concept. Because if you take massive action with one decision and then it's a huge mess and then you're being a wimp about it, you're like, oh no, no more massive action. That was crazy. Now I have like 5 emails I haven't replied to and people are asking me these questions and like, oh, this background is going to look completely crazy and the lighting isn't going to work. And do we have enough lighting? And, that's not the time. It's kind of like if you decide to go to the moon, you can't decide halfway there. Like, I don't know. Do we want to like thrust the rockets or whatever? Like you've got to be all in and stay all in. And that's what I was reminding myself. I was like, okay, well, I'm living the massive action lifestyle, whether I want to or not, because now I've committed myself to these 2 comedy specials. Deposits have been paid. The venues are all in. We've done the walkthroughs. And would I, go back in time and kidnap myself and lock myself in a closet and to not make these decisions if I could? I don't know. I do. Maybe I would. But we're in it. We're doing it. If I look a little terrified in New York and Denver, it just means it's just all, we're pulling it together. Oh, here's the other thing. Neither Caitlin nor Joe can come to either one of these. So, and I've never done that. I've never filmed a special without someone from my squad being there. My first special, all 6 kids were there. The one in St. Charles outside of Chicago, all 6 kids were there. I mean, it was multiple friends. Joe was there. It's funny, it dwindles with each special. Like the last special, which we filmed in Houston, just Caitlin and Joe were there. Oh yeah, because my mom was there even in the first one. I mean, the gang was all there for the first one. And then it was Caitlin and Joe for the second one. They're dropping like flies. Now it's like, guys, it is just me. I didn't even hire hair and makeup people. I'm doing my own hair and makeup for both of these specials. So it's a real solo project here. But I will say my other philosophy that helps me get through the stress of this. I've said this before and I say it again. I never perceive that I lose. Either I win or there's drama. And I love drama, honestly. I really do. So it's like I win or there's drama. And I'm actually okay with either outcome. Which is also why it's hard to be one of my haters, because they're like, oh, Jen failed again. She must be so depressed. Like, no, I'm probably talking about it on Patreon and just like having fun with it. Like I just don't have that part of my brain that really perceives that. So, okay, obviously you come to this podcast for relevant topics that really speak to your life and what you are concerned about. because my brain works like everyone else's. I have been working on the limiting belief that like my brain is different than other people's, and like I'm just different and nobody understands me. And I think that this topic will really prove that I am on the same page, and I think about the same thing that you guys do. So in 1960, this submarine went to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And when I heard this, I'm like, what? Do you think about 1960s technology? I mean, are you kidding me? Like, I mean, we didn't even have like airplanes for that many years, that like commercial airline travel for that long before that. I mean, here's the thing that got me. So I was like, that's crazy. I really hope I'm not going to get dinged for playing this clip, but we do have a clip that I'll have Caitlin play here in a second. I need you to really think about how deep this is. This is the deepest part of the ocean, in the Pacific Ocean. Here's the thing. They didn't try it with an unmanned sub first. They didn't. There was no test run.
That's really brave. I would not.
Brave that's a word that you could use.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that brave was the word that came to mind. They just did it. They're like, let's go to the bottom crevice, the deepest crack of the ocean. It sounded much weirder than I meant for it to. Let's go right up in that crack and just go just as far. I can't believe they didn't try it. Well, you know what it is? I think because of 1960s technology, I'm not sure that they would have had the remote, like, radio waves, get down that far. I'm not sure.
That's a great point.
Do you know how much trust you have to have in your engineers to be like, nope, no test run. We're just, we're just doing it. Even in space, even with space travel, and like the Russians sent some poor animals up there where they learned like, oh, we didn't have it figured out. Actually, R.I.P. Fido. It was terrible. Like, but at least, but they were like, maybe we need to learn a few things. No, these guys they were Fido. They were the, test animals. Going down. Okay, but listen, I so hope that I don't get dinged for playing this, but this is from the Rolex YouTube channel. Why is Rolex doing this? I don't know, but I'm glad they did, because this is an excerpt from the documentary about these first guys who went to the deepest part of the ocean. Listen so closely.
And they hear the pressure pushing on the crew cabin.
The gasoline is cooling, so it's getting smaller. It's also being compressed. There was a variety of noises of the metal working.
No.
This thing is groaning in a special kind of... The total weight on the crew cabin is the full weight of the Pacific Ocean.
Nope. Listen.
A gut-wrenching sound hammers the Trieste. Both men react, searching for answers, for leaks.
Okay,
anything that would explain
this is what
what's
got me.
happening.
This is why I've been thinking about this nonstop. The window glass cracked when they weren't quite at the bottom, but they were almost at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. So they had been hearing their submarine groaning under the weight of the ocean. And bam, and it cracked, and the crack was so violent, it shook the entire sub.
Oh.
Keep in mind, you can't ascend rapidly because then you'll get the bends and you'll die from that. These guys, the Rolex documentary went on to say, they were like, oh my gosh, what is that? Okay.
Gee, I wonder.
how many units of Valium and like name 20 other sedatives would I have to be given to be, just a few, maybe a half mile away from the bottom of the Marianas Trench or whatever, and like the window of my 1960, the year of our Lord 1960. Well, think about that. Their controllers were probably, literally our smartphones are more technologically advanced. then they're control. They were, I mean, and keep in mind, you guys who are my age, do you remember like the first Ataris with the joystick? It had one red button on the top left and then just the little stick. Keep in mind, that was high technology. That was the future. That was the space age compared to 1960. So they were controlling their submarine with like not even 1980s Atari technology. So the window cracks and it violently shakes the submarine. And these guys are like, we should investigate. What level of lobotomy would I have to have that reaction at that time? And then, get this, Caitlin, the Rolex documentary went on to say that they kept going.
What?
They kept going. Their submarine is It's cracking. It's breaking. It shook. It cracked. It's over. And they were like, I think we should keep going.
No.
I think it'll be fine. Here's why I bring this up, guys. I think if you feel inspired to do something, speaking of massive action, it just reminds me of this massive action thing. Now, I don't know if these guys were religious. I feel like they have to be. You have to believe in heaven to go to the bottom of the Mariana Trench and then keep going after your window cracks. You have to be like, the other side is better. A better life awaits me in eternity. I mean, there's no atheist could ever do that. And I don't know. I haven't researched these guys. When I saw them interviewed on the Rolex documentary, I feel like that guy. I know a Catholic when I see one. I don't know. I feel like he's walking with the Lord. But anyway, whatever. For those of us who do believe in God, sometimes you feel inspired to take massive action, like going to the bottom of the Mariana Trench in a submarine that no one has ever tested out with very basic technology. Or you could do something truly harrowing and terrifying and film 2 comedy specials completely on your own in 2 cities in 1 tour season. The submarine guys would be like, that's ridiculous. That's insane. I wouldn't do that. And so sometimes you jump into massive action and then your window cracks, so to speak. Your submarine shakes violently. You soil yourself, metaphorically or actually. And it's like, you're like, I wish I'd never done this. I wish I'd never gotten into this, because now the window's cracked. That'd be funny if one of them was a practical joker and had like a water dropper, dropped a little bit of water on his friend's head. They end up dying, but it's like from violence, So when you have taken massive action and the metaphorical window cracks on your submarine, well, this actually wasn't going to be my take, but part of it, like, there's no way out. You can't get out. It's like me with these comedy specials. There's no way out. I paid the deposit. Like, I'm doing it. There's no way out. I'm stuck at the bottom of the Marianas Trench because of my massive action. Now, this is where being a person of faith can really help, because listen, if they weren't religious, they became religious when that window cracked, okay? And it's where you can turn to God and be like, I think it was your will that I did this, because I did discern, I did wait for doors to open, and presumably then with the submarine and me with my own metaphorical trip to the bottom here that I'm doing. I did. I have learned in life, I don't force anything. It's just, it doesn't work. It's usually a sign that you're not where you're meant to be. It's not God's will for you. If it's like causing stress in my family and I have to force everything, it's like, it's just, this isn't where I'm meant to be. So I did feel like God was opening these doors. Just kind of some coincidences happened that was like, wow, that was okay. I didn't think that would work. That's awesome. And I felt like I was supposed to do it, just like probably the guys with the submarine. I mean, clearly, even if they didn't know that they were walking with God, they were, because that takes some divine intervention to like get two dudes to be like, let's go 35,000 feet underwater. No one's ever been there. Let's just do it. And when the window cracks, that's when it's time to remember the discernment that got you here, because there's no way out. And I mean, if I were on the submarine, honestly, I'd probably be making my peace with God. Like, okay, well, your will was that my time on this earth is up. But listen, if it's your time, it's your time, I mean, whatever. But you need to remember the discernment that got you there. And remember that there's a great meme that I sometimes see on Pinterest and on Instagram where it looks like it's going to be this very inspiring statement. It's like a flag hung up in a gym, and it says, "We don't do this because it's easy." And I expected the next line would be like, we do it because it's for glory or because it helps the world. No, it says, "We don't do this because it's easy. We do it because we thought it would be easy," which is like my whole life. And I'm sure that was them. They're like, well, how hard could it be? How hard could it be to just, I mean, you're just sinking. It's easy to sink. Pretend like you're a rock. You just sink. And then you get down there and you're like, but how do we get back up? And, I'm sorry, the poltergeist store again. How to there are a lot of questions that come to you when you're at the bottom of the ocean, I would imagine. Same thing with me, with my comedy specials. But what you have to remember is that you got here for a reason. No interesting thing that you are ever called to do in life is going to be as easy as you thought it would be. Because see, that's what God does. It's like, he mind tricks you. He tricks you. Like, he kind of takes over your brain and is like, how hard could it be? This isn't that hard. And like, I swear sometimes God blocks you from like really thinking through what this is going to be like, because you wouldn't do it. He knows you have free will. He made you with free will. And he was like, yeah, she's going to use her free will to do anything but this if I let her think about what's really involved here. So that could be God, or it could be unmedicated ADHD. I mean, it's hard to know which it is, but you have to remember that this is normal, and again, it's part of the massive action lifestyle. Like that feeling you had when you were first like, okay, let's jump into it. I'm doing it. Let's do it. I'm committing. Yeah, let's go. And then you're in the thick of it and it's not so fun anymore. And there are a lot of details that you're getting very overwhelmed by. And if you listen to this podcast, you probably have some kind of village. You have children, or you're close with your nieces and nephews, or you're helping your parents or your grandma or whatever. And so it makes it all the more complicated because you're trying to balance getting this goal done with helping everyone else in your life. And that is when you have to go back to that massive action feeling that God first inspired you with and be like, the only way out is through. The only way out is through. I have to keep taking massive action, and I have to keep acting like I'm just as energized and excited as I was when I first committed to this crazy idea, because that's the only thing that's going to get us out of this. So I just wanted to follow up with that I'm always preaching massive action to you guys, and I'm now in a state of living with my own massive action, and I lie awake at night. I'm like, what if I am about to lose many thousands of dollars? Like, but it honestly has helped me. It really, really has helped me to be like, well, I need to keep making bold decisions. Like just reply to that email. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm just hitting reply. I'm just typing things. Like I'm just go. And it has actually really helped. Okay, let's get into the main topic. Before we do, on the Village Hustle Patreon, episode 84. So the Village Hustle Patreon is where I bring you into the behind the scenes of how I balance business and life and things like that. And there is this phrase that I have been walking around and repeating, and it truly has, I think it has kept me from a couple felonies. I mean, it really helps just like calm me down and get in the right mentality to just be open to gratitude and blessings and other positive things. And it's just one very, very simple phrase. I was repeating it over and over and over and over again last week, and it really helped me. And I go into all of that on episode 84 of the Village Hustle Patreon. And you can get instant access right this second at patreon.com/thisisjen. Let's talk about how you can feel happier with yourself. And I know a lot of you guys are resistant to that because you think that hating yourself and everything you do makes you a good mom. And for those of you who are fellow members of the Catholic ghetto, a good Catholic. Like, who would I even be if I didn't think all the time about the ways I'm failing and not measuring up and things like that? And of course, we should all self-reflect. We should take an honest look at our failings and ways we can be better and stop sinning and all of that. But I actually think that that typical mom guilt, self-hatred, like, oh man, I'm not doing this right. And oh, that woman on Instagram, like, she's doing everything right, and my sister-in-law is doing everything right. And I don't think that is the kind of healthy self-reflection that we are meant to do. Again, for those of us who are Christians, and even if you're not a Christian, listen, if you're not a Christian, it's not what the universe wants you to do. Okay, the universe is like, cut it out, also convert to Catholicism. But that's what the universe is. This is a channeled message, guys. I'm on the wrong side of TikTok. I watch all the wrong TikToks. Don't confuse self-hatred that saps your energy with a love language for your kids. And also don't confuse it with a healthy spiritual life. Because think about it. Obviously, in order to be the best human you can be and change and make good progress and things like that, you need some energy to do that. If there's a sin you're trying to overcome, or let's say there are some areas in parenthood that they do need some improvement. Every single one of us has them. Some areas where it's like, we all have those, and you always will. Like, everyone has them. You need energy to overcome them. You need energy. And letting yourself get dragged down, like, you know how it feels like you're carrying a weight, like an actual ball and chain, or, like someone took an anvil, the big heavy metal things that Roadrunner and Coyote used to drop on each other's heads, like a heavy anvil. Like, it's like someone put a chain around that and then put it around your neck, and you're just carrying this heavy thing. That's what it's like when you just wallow in these feelings of not being enough and not being good enough and failing as a wife and failing as a mother and all of that. It doesn't give you the energy to change. And I would say, what do you think I'm going to say? What do you think I think the solution is? Journals speak. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Caitlin was probably like, alcohol. Yeah. Sorry. I shouldn't have put you on the spot there. Journals speak. Right. Yeah. Right. I honestly, I think you guys should journal speak that out of how is it serving you? Like, what are you getting out of this? The feeling like you are walking around with like a weighted blanket, like an anvil, like something about this is working for you. And I think the right way to be the best wife, mother, Catholic, whatever, friend, sister, daughter that you can be, is you got to have some energy to make change. And so and that does require a certain level of feeling like you are enough, and feeling God's love and seeing what's good about yourself. If all you're doing is feeling these really whacked out emotions about how terrible you are, when you get in that habit, there's no motivation to change, right? Because essentially what you have just convinced yourself through weeks and months, maybe even years of this blame, I'm the worst. What you have wired your subconscious to believe is that you are an irreparable mess. Everything about you is bad, which is like so fundamentally, like, again, for those of you who are Catholic, like, it's so wrong. It's also, universe people, it's also wrong. You've convinced yourself subconsciously that there's nothing to redeem here. So why would you be motivated? And by the way, I'm speaking very much from personal experience, especially when my kids were younger, and we hit this period where my kids were still pretty young, but some really cool career opportunities were panning out, and it was actually a bad time for me, even though I think on the surface it looked like I was winning a lot. And I was. I had some, in terms of my career, I had some cool things happen, but it was really, I don't actually have super happy memories of that time, because I just felt so bad about myself as a mother and all that. Like, I didn't feel like things were in balance, and I felt like I was in this downward spiral where everything was getting worse and worse and worse. And I couldn't get myself out of it. And I didn't know how to get myself out of the downward spiral. And what I would love to say to myself, if I could go back, this was about like 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. What I wish I could go back in time and say to myself, like, ironically, if you would stop this really toxic, heavy, I'm the worst self-condemnation, and if you would start spending a little bit of time looking at the ways that you are worthy, looking at the ways that you are great, looking at what you do contribute to your family, you will actually have the energy to fix the bad stuff. And I finally did figure that out. It was about a year of it just wasn't good. Things were out of balance, and I felt powerless to get them back in balance. And I will say, if it's encouraging to, any of you guys, I do think I made mistakes as a parent that were significant and had consequences. And obviously it makes me, I don't like thinking about that, and that really sucks. But I also think that we all do it at some point. We're all going to do it. We're all going to make some mistake at some point where we'll look back and be like, that was not excellent parenting. I shouldn't have done that. And again, a really negative, toxic shame spiral, all that's going to do is lead you to make more parenting mistakes, because now you don't have the energy to really look at the root of what happened there and weed it out. And it was actually because I finally got a clue and started, believing what God says about me, and like believing in my worth, and seeing good things, and say, I am worthy, and I am equipped to handle this life that God has given me. And I can do this. I'll have to make some changes, but I can do this. It was when I brought those feelings of positivity and just being loved and self-worth in, ironically, that is when I could actually get a lot of my bad habits and attachments to go away, because I simply had the energy for it. It saps your energy when you are constantly just thinking, I've let my family down again, I've let myself down again, I'm the worst. Wrong attitude. You can notice those same things and say, okay, I love my family. I'm doing so great generally, not always, but generally, with the resources I've been given. I do observe that this part of my life is out of balance. And I'm going to give myself some credit for, there must have been a good reason that I made these decisions to get me here. And I'm loved by God. I love my family and they love me. And in that spirit, I am going to think and pray about what changes that need to be made here. And they might not be easy, but I have the energy to do it, because I'm not sitting around in self-condemnation 24/7. Now, let's go back to this influencer video. And again, I'm only using Zachary as an example here because I just personally know too many of the Christian influencers who say a lot of these same things. So you see this a lot in kind of the Catholic ghetto world, even the Protestant ghetto. You see this a lot with women. It tends to be phrased differently, but this message is very much out there. And again, Zachary, I am available to be your life coach if you would like to hire me. Okay, play it.
The best way to start loving yourself is to keep your word. Whatever you tell yourself, and you and only you know this, whatever you promise yourself, you accomplish it. You stick to it. You tell yourself, I'm waking up early tomorrow, you wake up early. You tell yourself you're going to the gym, you go to the gym. Because every time you tell yourself you're going to do something and you don't do it, you lose self-respect. And without self-respect, you can't love yourself.
You go on Monday, you tell all your friends, I'm going to the gym 5 times this week, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm starting my diet, I'm going to get in shape. By Wednesday, I find you on a couch sitting, eating chocolate brownies, watching a Netflix show, skipping the gym.
It's like he
Your
knows
actions
me. Pause it.
are the opposite of your words.
Like, do you actually know me? I mean, literally me. Like, yep. What? Like, okay, well, just tag me next time. Like, I could use the followers. I could use the engagement. That's called the Jen Fulwiler rule of life. You announce your big plans for your workout. Like, no, guys, I'm serious. Like, I'm not eating any more ice cream. And no, I'm eating ice cream and I'm watching Netflix. Okay, let's hear what else.
You're out of alignment. And when you're out of alignment, what happens? You lose self-respect. And when you don't respect yourself, what happens? You're not happy. And when you're unhappy, what happens? You get out of the present moment because the present moment sucks. And when you get out of the present moment, you go to one of two places. You either go to the past, which is depression. You think about, oh, the good old days. Oh, man, you start reflecting about.
No, I can be depressed about the future. I don't know what he's talking about. He's like, depression is like thinking about the past. No, it's thinking about the future too. No, it absolutely is. I'm like, should I be doing my own makeup for my comedy special? Like, what's like, why did I spend so much money on that one thing? Like, I'm gonna lose all my money. No, I can actually be super depressed about the future. Okay, go ahead.
When times were better, or you go to the future and you get anxious, you get anxiety. Oh, what if this happens and this thing that worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. The cure to this is to get into alignment. Your words and your actions must align with each other.
Okay, listen, this is how I'm going to make the comedy millions, or maybe the something millions. Maybe I'll just be like the life coach millions. It's the background music. You know, the background's like dun dun dun, and then he speaks rapidly. You guys, listen, I'm going to Jedi mind trick everyone in my life, because that's what I'm learning is if you just say things rapidly, people are like, yeah.
And you have to yell at them too.
Yeah. That's yeah. So, I should like.
Do we want to try this now?
Yeah. Oh, do we have? Oh no! I keep getting copyright dings on our.
Oh really?
Stupid. Yes, I can't. Yes. So
Psych.
yeah, no, it's very sad. So that I think that's what you do. You play that music in the background, and I'm going to try it with my husband. I'm going to be like. I wish we had that. Just pretend that I have, that pretend that I'm, so this is a reel and there's that music in the background. Listen, if you want to feel good about yourself, did you spend enough money at Sephora? Because listen, if you are not taking care of your makeup needs, if you don't have blendable eyeshadow, if you're doing your shadow routine with drugstore eyeshadow, can you have self-respect? Because self-respect is based on your Sephora expenditures. If you are not spending enough money at that store, can God even love you? We don't know. And you just have to make sure that you are at Sephora spending enough money so that your self-esteem can be there. And you know what happens when your self-esteem is there? You love your family more. You love your spouse more. God loves you more. Spend money at Sephora. Let's hit the applause. But that was, I'm going to try this with Joe. He's been out of town. He's coming home tonight. I should just try. I should be like, listen, if you don't have 7 Amazon packages being delivered tomorrow, are you living? Because if you don't make that commitment to yourself that I will have double-digit Amazon packages at the door every week, do you even believe in abundance? Do you believe? You don't believe in abundance. And how can you trust God and have gratitude if you don't believe in abundance? I mean, it's just, I'm using this on everyone. I'll use it on Caitlin. I'll be like, listen, Caitlin, I have an idea here. I had us take all of our kids to the Galleria the other day. It's mixed bag as to whether that was a good idea. But I'll be like, Caitlin, are you even living if you don't go to the Galleria? We should all try this. Okay. But one of the things he says that in order to respect yourself, your words and actions have to be in alignment. I think there's a grain of truth to that. For areas that matter. If, certainly, again, religion comes to mind. Like if you say you believe in God, but you're, like running a meth lab or something, it's like, it's not good. You're not aligned with your values. So I would say that's more on a macro level. I would say on a macro level, if you espouse a certain worldview, like if you say, you say your kids are your top priority, but you only see them once a year. It's like, okay, well, that's not your actions are not aligning with your words there. So when it comes to your values, the major things in life, yeah, you want to make sure that your actions do line up with that. But in terms of the micro, that's where we need to look at a little different. If it's like I'm going to the gym Monday and I'm doing a Whole30 and all that, I don't think that matters at all. I don't think it matters at all. And well, actually, I shouldn't say that it doesn't matter. That's a little bit of a specious claim to say. It doesn't matter at all. If you constantly say that you want to do something and you are going to do something, but it never gets done. Let's say your house is very, very cluttered. You're kind of starting to went Googling, like, am I a hoarder? What would the signs be? That sort of thing. Caitlin, before you arrived, speaking of our house, the handle to our back door came off.
Yeah.
So I did literally right before we recorded this podcast, my child walked up to me and I forgot whose life I'm living. And I thought, like, oh, did they pick a flower for me? No, it was the handle to our back door came off, because that's the kind of house that I live in. That's the kind of, it wasn't a flower. No, it was the handle to our back door. It does matter if, you say you're going to do a new diet or lose weight or whatever, and it never comes through and you never do it. But there are a couple different ways to solve that inconsistency. And I think that's where the influencers get it wrong. Because one way is to be like, I need to turn myself into a robot. I need to turn myself into an Elon Musk robot. Just charge me up at the Tesla factory because I am not going to factor in anything else other than the fact that I said I was going to run 10 miles Monday morning. So that is one way to solve it, to get your words and your actions to align. On the other side of the equation, you can change your words. Be like, I'm going to watch Netflix all night tonight, And I'm only kind of kidding there, because I think what you should do, and I've actually said this a lot on the Village Hustle Patreon, that Joe's friends, by the way, who are not only so rich, they're so rich, but like good people, like they have good family lives, they're good lives, and they're very, very wealthy. One of the things I've noticed about them is that they don't have a tendency to self-blame, and it is very marked how different it is than other people we know. And again, I don't mean in a toxic way. I'm talking about people who are good human beings. I'm not talking about narcissistic tendencies or anything, but just if one of those guys had kept saying he was going to the gym and it wasn't happening, he would not jump into I'm the worst and I can't respect myself if I don't. He'd actually look at the other side of the equation, which is, okay, why do I keep saying I want to go to the gym when obviously there is something about my life setup that is making this not work? They are much more likely to look at their circumstances. This is something that I learned from these Ivy League, self-made gazillionaire types that I have picked up that is very helpful. That they are much more likely to look at their circumstances and say, is there something about my circumstances that I could change to help make this not so dang hard to get this thing done? And if they don't see a way to change it, they would say, I think I need to stop making this a goal. I think this is not realistic right now. Actually, an example is Joe had been saying for years that he wanted to exercise and he felt like he was out of shape. And he had tried quite a few different things to get into shape, and nothing was working. And he would say, he wasn't like, he very much laughs at that kind of like influencer culture. Like he wasn't doing any of that kind of thing, but he might say something like, I think I'll try jogging at some point next week, or I'll try doing this and that. And it just didn't ever become anything that he wanted to get into. And from this kind of the Ivy League, type culture he comes from, and I don't know, maybe this is just his inherent personality, but a lot of his friends from that world are like this. He didn't beat himself up at all when it didn't work out. I think that it is healthiest when the self-respect comes first, actually, because the influencer culture would say, you can't respect yourself if you're not going to the gym when you say you go to the gym. I think a much more gracious and humane culture would say, I definitely respect myself. And I know that I am, I'm a basically good person. I mean, I mess up plenty, but I am trying generally to do the right thing in life. And because I respect myself, there must be a reason. There must be a reason that the jogging routine didn't come through. Or my husband thought, maybe he could start doing triathlons more often and he could train for them. And he really made a go of it for a while, and then he stopped doing it. No self-blame. He was like, yeah, obviously that didn't work for me, because if it did, I would have done it. I mean, I'm not going to beat myself up about this. I know that I do care about getting in shape, but my circumstances have not lended themselves to a way to get in shape that really makes sense for my lifestyle. He spent zero self-condemnation. There was no like, how can I respect myself if I don't? It was like, no, my circumstances just aren't lining up to make this make sense. In that place of just kind of being peaceful and open, and again, he's Catholic, and so he just kind of turned it over to God. He was like, look, I'd like to be in better shape, but just jogging didn't work. This triathlon thing didn't work. I don't know, maybe something will come up. It actually took a couple of years of trying things and not doing them and just staying open. And then he found this, most cities have a master's swim group where it's for a lot of people who they did swim in high school or college. And it's usually, most of the people are like 35, 40 plus. So it's not people who are like currently in the Olympics or anything. But they do swim workouts that I guess are like similar to, I've never exercised. Like I never played a sport. Like I truly try not to leave the house. So I don't know what they do. I've never even seen the workout place that he goes to. But I guess it's similar to like when they were in high school and they have some competitions, and there's even a social element that I've been to some of their, I hang out with these people when we're not moving or doing anything. They'll do like a holiday social or a summer social or whatever. But so now he has been doing this 3 days per week for 3 years now. I have only ever seen him miss a workout when he was sick or out of town. I mean, he doesn't miss these workouts, but it took multiple years of him just staying open and not beating himself up for this great solution to come up. He loves the community of it. He loves swimming. He loves how much it energizes him to jump in the water. The timing is perfect. It fits with his schedule just right. And think about this. If he had believed in that self-condemning influencer culture, he would have just forced himself to do some stupid jogging routine that like he's just doesn't work for him at all. Like he didn't enjoy jogging. It was just a slog. And if he listened to this kind of self-hating culture, it would be like, you're lazy. You're a wimp. You need to conquer the inner wimp. Like, can't quote David Goggins directly. You need to conquer the blah, 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 blah. And then he'd have some horrible jogging routine that he hates. And then that just leads to more negativity in your life. It's like when you're forcing yourself, when you're forcing a square peg into a round hole in your life, because you listen to influencers, Christian or otherwise, who tell you that you're a bad person worthy of condemnation if you don't fully do everything you ever say that you're going to do, that leads to yet more negativity and energy drain and condemnation. Cause like you get back from the jog and it's like, oh, like, God, I hate this, you know? And it's amazing how much more energy you have in your life when you are at least willing to consider that maybe this is not my fault. Maybe this is not an issue of me not being enough of a robot or not keeping my word, quote unquote, or whatever. Maybe my circumstances are just making this not align. Like it's too hard. And speaking of alignment, which he brings up, I think what you need to be aligned with is peace. What you need to be aligned with is what God says about you, which is that you are loved and that he's going to guide you and all sorts of other stuff that you don't listen to this podcast for the theology. So, you know, being aligned with what God says about what he thinks about you and who you are and all that, that's what you need to be aligned with. And you need to be aligned with looking out for circumstances in which you can do these things that you would like to do in peace. And if you don't have peace with it, like if you keep saying, I'm going to give up this or I'm going to give up that, and it never comes through, maybe you need to push through. I'm not saying there's never a place for just pushing through and getting it done, but most likely you didn't follow through with it because you didn't have peace about it when the moment actually arose. And again, I'm thinking of a time in my life when I said I was going to do this diet and all this stuff, and I kept not doing it, and I kept, you know, eating ice cream and watching Netflix and whatever, and I was in the condemnation cycle. And then when I remembered these lessons, I was like, okay, let's take a look at, like, why didn't I have peace with not skipping the candy or whatever? And I wish I had known about Journal Speak, because this is exactly the kind of thing that Journal Speak is great for, where you keep dumping and dumping and dumping until you get to the heart of it. But I realized, I was like, you know what? I'm under a ton of pressure. My kids were little. I at that time, I didn't have much of a support system because I was kind of in between babysitters and all that. And I was like, you know what? My circumstances are they're just really hard. And I was thinking to myself at the time, I was like, I don't love the weight I'm at. I mean, I don't feel like myself when I look in the mirror, but, you know, I think I need to put my energy towards changing my circumstances, like maybe making it a higher priority to see if I can get a local gal to babysit after school or something so that I have a little bit of relief. Like, I need to take this energy that I was putting into hating myself and, you know, declaring all these diets that I don't really have the energy to do and all that. I need to take that energy into changing my circumstances so that I don't feel that crushing pressure that leads me to, frankly, kind of need the bag of jelly beans at the end of the night. Like, I could robot my way through this, but like, it feels bad. It drains my energy. And I think I need to look at, it is totally understandable that I kept watching shows and eating candy or whatever. It's totally understandable given the pressure that I'm under. And so I'm just going to stop saying that I'm going to do this stuff. And instead I'm going to start saying, you know what, I'm going to slowly work on changing my circumstances. And it's not something I can change overnight. This won't be an easy change, but that's where I'm going to direct my energy, because I now realize that the problem is not that I'm some horrible human being who can never get anything right. The problem is that I'm in some pretty tough circumstances, and I am reacting in a very human, normal way to those circumstances. And I'm going to put my energy into changing that, not into telling myself for the millionth time today that I'm a horrible human being. How is this podcast free? We don't know. We can't figure it out. Join the Patreon, get bonus content, patreon.com/thisisjen. We would love to have you over there. I think we will do another Patreon live soon, so you can join us for that. I think I'll announce that in next week's episode. Get your tickets to my comedy tour, jfcomedytour.com, and we will be back with you next week here on The Jen Fulwiler Show.